What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chits and Chats, and today we are going to do our rite of passage as board game content creators, and that is, of course,
the top 10.
I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'm so glad it did. Top 10 of 2021, guys. And these are going to be games. Just a little disclaimer here, okay? We played 32 games this year. We had a third kid, and we bought a new house. We had to move and all that stuff. So 32 is it's still pretty good, I think. These games are there's a lot of our top games of all time in this list, or in our top or in the 32 that we played this year. However, our list is going to be the games that were the most exciting to us this year, okay? Because some games like that we've played a lot of times are just not as exciting, even though we love them because we've played them so many times. So these are just some games, 10 games, that are very exciting to us that we played this year. So let's get right into it. And honorable mention. Okay, I will go. My honorable mention is Scythe. The reason it's my honorable mention is because I hated this game the first time I played it, and it won my heart again this year. I just really enjoy moving these mechs around a board, and I love that there's like the threat of war there, but it's not really about war, and you can do a bunch of different things to try to gain popularity. I love the auxiliary actions where I think that's the main part, is where you have a top action and a bottom action, and depending on to optimize your gameplay, you want to do top and bottom, but you can't always do that. But it makes it a lot of fun trying to be able to do that, and I love how there's a lot of asymmetry between factions and the actual boards themselves. And it's just a good time, and I love how there's like those bonus actions you can do. So when she does something, I get a benefit. So good game.
Yeah,
anyway,
great game. Mine is Macao or Macau, however you say it.
To each their own.
To each their own. I love that you roll the dice, and by the dice you get to choose these different colored blocks or cubes, and you put them around a wheel. Spin the wheel, you get to use those cubes at that turn, add more to the other sections, and by the end of one round you may have like this whole huge pile of cubes. Sometimes you can do a lot of actions all at once based on how many cubes you have, and sometimes you can only do one little dinker because you haven't planned well.
She's talking about me.
So strategy is key in that game.
There's a lot of planning. It's all about planning.
A lot of planning and a lot of different things that you can do. Mm-hmm. And so I just love that.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. Let's keep moving on. So number 10 for me is going to be Tiny Towns. Tiny Towns is a new game that we just got, and I think I did not have high expectations for it. I'm going to be honest, even though everybody seemed to have really high expectations for it. And basically, you have all these different building cards and types of buildings that you are trying to build based on these. Once you complete a very specific shape on your board, a very small grid, then you get to build this building, and the buildings are scored based on placement and based on what other buildings are on there, based on how many sometimes that you've built of a particular type. And I love that you can block yourself. It's just like, it's cool that you have to plan so well that you block yourself, or that you try not to block yourself. But when you do, you're done. Your game's over. Yeah. The other person keep going. And I love that indirect player interaction where I can choose a cube. I like playing with the way where you can choose your own cube, and then I can choose one that she needs, or that I can choose one that she needs a specific type, and I can choose one that she needs. Sorry. No, I'm just all about your needs. You know what I mean?
No, you're not. You always try to block me.
I try to pick one that she doesn't want.
Based on
no, you do. Wait. I'm so confused at what I'm trying to say. No, I try to pick one that I want, and hopefully she doesn't want. Right? That makes sense, right?
He tries to pick one that he needs.
Yes.
A little, but not.
Why is it so hard to get out? If she needs one, it's so late, guys. It's so late. We're doing this too late. If she needs a cube, I don't want her to have that one, okay? So I pick one that she doesn't need. Wait. Oh my golly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Because once I pick one, dude, we cannot do these too late. So Tiny Towns, my golly, I'm crossing that off this list. Okay. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, guys. I highly recommend it. There's a lot of variability. Go ahead.
Number 10 is Azul.
Golly day.
Mainly because it's pretty and it's fun to play. I love the tiles. I love the feel of them. I love the look of them. I love the strategy that's involved. I love that you can play it with 1 to 4 people, and it's still not a long game. It's still a relatively short game. It's easy to set up, easy to take down. You can just come in 15 minutes, play it, put it away, and you're good to go.
Yep. Give us an example of that hand going in that bag too. It feels good. It's exactly what it feels like.
Great.
You know what I mean? It's just nice. It sounds, I was gonna say delicious, which is a weird
It does, because they remind me of
adjective.
chocolates.
Yep. So it's a great game. Good choice. Okay, so number 9. Number 9. That is what I've chosen, and I chose it so I could say that. Okay, whatever. Get over it. I'm glad I did it. I have no regrets. Okay, so number 9 is a game. It's very light.
Very light.
It's very light, but it's very hard to get good at. Even for a full-grown person, okay, which it seems like it wouldn't be, because you have these like numbers, and it's kind of like another Tetris style game where you're putting these numbers together, and based on adjacency you score, and based on once you get to a certain point, I forgot exactly how it flows, but basically once you get to a certain point you can start stacking up on layers, and those layers give you more points based on the number that's there, and it's just literally the pieces are just numbers. They're just numbers 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, called number 9. And so it's just really it's a very
Another
fast
kind of Tetris style.
Very Tetris style. We love those types of games. It's very fast paced, and boom, it's gonna be different every time. So
great for 2 people.
Great
and
for 2
it's a
people.
great date game.
Yes, number 9.
My number 9 is Search for Planet X.
Woo.
Because it's a deduction game, and that was really new for me. I hadn't played.
We haven't played very many, except like the Resistance and Coup and some other like party games.
Right.
Yep.
So I really liked that part of it, and it's also an app.
It's app driven.
App driven game, and that was also new for us. Except for we've played
Lord of the Rings
app driven game, which is fun, but this one was totally different. It just asks you questions, you ask it questions, and it gives you little hints of where to find Planet X on this circular grid, and it's just a lot of fun.
It's fun. It's very competitive.
Yes.
So good number 9. So number 8 for me, it's a game called Search for Planet X.
Oh wow.
Where you do all the things you just said. But I will say that I do like the fact that I do think it's very interesting, because you have different sectors on a board. And you're trying to get these hints, right? And you get to a point where you can make a very educated guess, even though you're not 100% sure. You can wait till you're 100% sure, but it's very competitive. You can see that the other person is making strides, because the pieces they put down, you can see that they're making, they're advancing, you know what I mean? Oh. Sometimes you just make an educated guess, which can totally screw up the rest of your game. Like you can choose one, like a comment on a sector, you're like, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure, but you're not 100%. And then you choose it, and it just totally sends you on this crazy trail, and you think you've won, and logically it makes sense. Like logically you're not wrong, but like when you find that final point, but since you made that one mistake back here, it messes up your whole game, and the other person gets it, and it's very satisfying when you find it, and you reveal it, and the app makes the noise, and you win.
And I've never won at that game, but it's still a lot of fun.
One day.
Like it.
One day. All right.
Number 8 for me is It's a Wonderful World. I love that game. I'll probably say that about all these games on here, because they're on my top 10. It's a Wonderful World. We play campaign style. We have also played just base game, but we love the campaign. It's very immediately gratifying.
Yeah, because after you play a game,
if you play like the pandemic campaign, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of things you have to open. There's a lot of things that you have to go through. It's a Wonderful World. You basically finish the game, and there's like one envelope.
And the game only takes like what 15-20 minutes to play around.
Really? Does it? Is it that short?
It's pretty short. Yeah, remember it was only like 15-20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes.
I remember we played like all day, and we just kept like we love
played through
it.
like it's a half a campaign.
Yeah, we played through the whole thing like all day, and it's just a lot of fun, and it reminds me a lot of Terraforming Mars with building the cards, and then the cards give you extra stuff every round, and it's just a great game. Yeah,
it's a great one. Okay, moving on to number 7. My number 7 is Macau, whatever you want. Maybe both of those are wrong. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. Okay?
Yes, we do.
I care a lot. So please let me know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Macau. So the reason I like Macau is because it involves heavy planning, and I think it's really cool that you have these action cubes. And first of all, I love dice rolling in games. So you roll these dice, and you get action cubes based on the number on the die, and you put them, and you have to plan very, very well. But I'll tell you, the most satisfying part of this game is kind of what she mentioned, where you get to a point, and you rotate your wheel, and you have like 12 cubes that all different colors, you know what I mean? Just, and then you look over at like the other person only has like 1 cube and it feels horrible. But it's like they move their ship up 1 space and then you're like, okay, so you're sitting here with this handful of stuff and you get to do all these different things and on the board because you have so many actions you can do. And it's very satisfying. The planning ahead is awesome because you should be punished for that kind of thing. I mean, that's a really cool aspect of the game. You're very punished if you don't plan very, very well, and sometimes you have to plan at like a ridiculous pace, you know what I mean? Like very far ahead in the future. Sometimes you just put stuff out there because you're like, I just want to be able to do something at this turn. It doesn't even really mean anything at the time. You just do it just to have a cube there, because if you get to a point where you don't have a cube, you're in trouble.
You're in big trouble.
So that is it's a lot of fun. It's very easy to teach, very easy to set up, and it's like for me the decision making is kind of heavy, but it's relatively light in the sense that
there aren't that many choices.
Yeah, like there's not that many choices, but they're all very critical. So anyway,
very good.
That was my number 7. So
my number 7 is Spacers.
What is that game? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, well, it's because it's not out yet. It's a game that we just recently played. It's coming out early 2022. It was so much fun. It was bright, colorful. When I sat down, I immediately knew that I was gonna have fun.
Show us some components.
This is my Vanna.
Yep.
The variability is amazing.
Ooh,
you move around a star map, and the star map can be different every single time. It's kind of like Catan, where you mix up the pieces and you put them all down, and then that's just and it's also kind of like Gaia. You do that in Gaia as well.
Like everything, it's very unique every single time you play. Look at these beautiful resin. It's like epoxy resin of some sort or whatever. It's just beautiful. All the components are beautiful. They really are.
You move around the star map, you do different missions, events, you get boost cards that give you special bonuses.
Look at all those cards, guys. Look at all those cards. That's all variability right there. That's a bag of variability right there.
It was so much fun for us. It was just a great experience, so it's my number 7.
Yep, and the link to the Kickstarter, guys, is going to be in the description, so check it out. 100% highly recommend. That's your number 7, okay. Number 6 for me is It's a Wonderful World. She just talked about it a little bit. I love the card drafting aspect of it. I think it was very interesting. The first time we played, I wasn't very overwhelmed by it because it seems like when you first play, all the cards are good. You just look at them and you're like, oh, I guess I could choose any of these. It doesn't really matter. Once you become seasoned, you realize that there's a very, very strategic, there's a high strategic depth to it where you have to choose cards very, like, you can't do too much. You can't do some cards you have to recycle for resources, and you have to be very tactical about which ones you want to recycle and which ones you want to keep. Sometimes those recycles turn to the ones you want to keep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to be very careful about what you're choosing, and you also have to be careful because the other person could choose the one that you desperately need. There have been times where I've chosen a card where I'm like, this is going to get me a ton of points, but there's another card in there that's the only blue cube to be recycled. I need a blue. I need one more or none of this is going to work. And I'm like, there's 6 more, and she hits that blue cube, and I'm like, no!
Yeah.
Like, I needed that card to recycle. She's going to use it to actually build. So that part of it is very exciting. The campaigns are amazing. They're kind of like a legacy style where you don't actually hurt any of the components, which is nice. And so you can keep on playing the campaign over and over if you really wanted to. We finished the first one. Incredible. Every time they introduce new cards, really nice packs of cards that you open. So the base game on its own is a lot of fun though, 100%. So
awesome.
Number 6.
Number 6 is Tiny Towns. He already talked about it. It's the Tetris style where you build different buildings, but you have to plan way far ahead so you don't trap yourself and lose the game for yourself and the other person can keep playing. I just like the strategy, having to plan so far ahead, and I do like also where you choose, each player chooses the cube back and forth.
Let's not get back into that thing.
Yeah, instead of anyway, so Tiny Towns, he already talked about it. It is my number 6.
Very good game. I do recommend that. It's actually like, it sounds fun to play right now. I want to get out during this review and just play. But anyway, all right, number 5 is a game that I didn't like that much the first time I played, and it's weird. It's one of those games that I didn't like at first, and then I grew to really enjoy, and it's Hallertau. I even got a box insert for it because I enjoyed it that much. I wanted to, seal that consummate
Consummate the gaming marriage.
No, I wanted to like see, you know what I mean, make it official. So Hallertau is a game where you basically have decks of cards, and I love well, what you're doing is you're converting resources to fulfill these very specific needs, where you can move your you basically move these I guess I think they're buildings. So you move these buildings over, and then it basically moves a community center over, which gives you more workers, which allows you to put them on this board to do actions on these very, very different cards. There's tons of decks of cards in that game, which Uwe always does, a lot of decks of cards. So he did a great job. There's a lot of indirect player interaction where you can, there's sometimes like you have to place a certain amount of cubes. The first action's 1, the second is 2, the third is 3, and if there's like you only have 2 cubes left or whatever, and there's the top row is a requirement of 3 cubes, you can't put it there. You know what I mean? And that could have been because she put those two cubes there and did that action. Now I have to put 3, and I can't do it any longer. So that is it's an incredible game. I will never get rid of it, I don't think.
He does a great job at indirect.
I love indirect player interaction, yeah, or like the indirect blocking. You know what I mean? It's fun. So number 5,
Concordia for me. Concordia is my number 5. It is amazing.
Okay, number 3. You know what's funny, guys? So Concordia is one of the so she gets boats. Every game that has a boat, she basically thinks is one like massive board game.
So Madeira, I always get it confused with Madeira and
she gets it. Anno 1800, Madeira,
Anno 1800 has nothing to do with boats.
Do you want me to show you the box cover?
Anno 1800.
It's literally a boat. It's literally a massive like
not even
bastion.
The same gameplay. You don't move
it's
your
a boat
around.
No, but still, it has boats.
That I don't get that.
Okay, so somehow she separates boats from boats. But okay.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, Concordia.
The way you play the game.
Go ahead. So I think the thing that you like the most is the action cards.
Yes, I love the action cards. You have only certain cards that you can play, and then you have to recycle your deck. And there's one that you can copy someone else's action, and so you're always waiting for them to play the one that you actually want to play, so that you can play yours later and save it. And then also you have the bonus cards, or the cards that give you all the points.
It's like a point salad at the end. Like you get so many points.
Yeah, it's very
satisfying.
Yeah,
when you get those points.
Satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my 5, Concordia.
Okay, number 4. I feel bad starting all these off. Do you want to start one off?
Nope.
Okay. My number 4 is Praga Caput Regni. I feel like for some reason when I talk to people who play board games, like it's like they don't know what this game is.
I totally forgot what that game was.
This was a massive, it was so much fun for us. I mean, this was one of my favorite games. I think it's in my top 10 of all time. It might be, I don't know, but
I would have put it on my list if I had known what that game was at the time when I read what games we had played this year.
Yeah, she doesn't remember like games by titles. She has to see like a picture of it, and then she's like, oh my golly.
Or know the very unique component of it.
Yeah, like Hallertau was rocks. She knew that game by rocks.
That you have to move to military.
I said community center. I said like resources and like sheep and all kinds of stuff, and then like decks of cards.
What game doesn't have sheep?
Okay,
Let's
fair.
be honest.
But you know all those things. Then I said rocks. She was like, oh my, that's the one.
Move the boulders.
So anyway, so this game has a really cool action wheel where you basically just take an action off if you have a certain. I think it's if you meet certain criteria or whatever. Or just sometimes you just get to take something. You take a bonus, depending on which action you take. And the action wheel is set up so that you have to pay more for ones that are up here. They're not necessarily better. They're just the ones that haven't rotated into a certain position. You have to pay more for.
You might need it first.
But you might desperately need it, and you're like, oh, do I pay the money? Money's very tight. But the reason I like the game is because there's so many different things you can do. There's a road you can travel on, and there's a bridge that you get to with bonuses. You get bonuses everywhere. Everything you do is a bonus. And so you don't even realize you're losing until the end.
And then you have contracts that you can fill out at the bottom. Is that correct?
Contracts.
Those little things at the bottom.
No.
Yes.
No, there's no contracts.
There are. Yes, there are.
You've forgotten what the game is once again.
And you put your tile, and you get more points if you have adjacent tiles around like the.
Oh yeah. Oh, the books. There's like little books that give you.
Well, they look like contracts to me.
Maybe they're. I need to look again, but yeah, they do. Yeah, books and contracts. Sorry. So yeah, there are some things that give you like extra points, but I love the fact that you can build this like little city. You can build walls around your little central area. Adjacency bonuses give you like these really cool added bonuses, and then you have this like 3D cathedral and a 3D, I forgot what the other thing's called, that you basically climb up on. It's amazing. It's very well done. Yes. The games are always very close, and you are rewarded the entire time pretty much. But it doesn't feel like you can get everything done you want to do.
You definitely cannot.
Yeah,
I always lose that game.
That could be true.
I believe it is.
That's probably why it's not on your list. But it's probably more because you had no idea what I was talking about until I started talking about it. Okay, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me is Pandemic Season 0. So another campaign style game. I love it. It is so immersive. You just get in there and you become part of the
game.
Play, the theme.
Oh yeah, like the movie.
The movie.
That's unfolding.
The script, screenplay, all of it.
Yep.
You get to even costume design your own people on your.
She does her Russian accent too sometimes.
I'm not gonna do it.
How do you say hello?
I'm not the. You do it.
Huh? I'm not gonna. I don't need to.
I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, you get to costume design your own. Are you about to do it? Your own
I
passports.
want to so bad.
The only downside to that game is that you actually have to destroy parts of it, which hurt our hearts so hard. But now we're good. Now we're good with it because it is an amazing game.
After we more into the first card,
yes.
we got over it immediately and we played and had a great time. So good stuff. Okay, number 3. My number 3 is a game that.
4?
Did I do 4? Yeah, Praga.
Oh, okay.
So my number 3, guys, is a game that I felt almost the same way about Scythe, where I hated it first. I hated it at first. We didn't even finish the first time we played it because we just were like, this is ridiculous. The rules didn't make any sense at first, and I think it was because the rules were so dense. Anyway, let me get back to what the game is. It's Root. That is my number 3 this year. It has completely. Guys, I'm trying to decide if this is a top 10 of all time. You can see I have everything right here. Like, this is the only game I have up here with all the expansions. I'm just proud of it. It's yeah, that's true. Agricola, yeah. So thank you for proving that I was wrong.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so Root is a game where I love the asymmetry. The asymmetry is astounding, and the fact that it's not just asymmetry in the fact that like you have one like other games we just have a card that says, hey, this is your one benefit. The whole purpose of Root is asymmetry. Like, every board has its own components, every board has its own rules and its special abilities, and everybody has a common goal of getting 30 victory points, but it's done so vastly different that it just makes the game incredibly unique. And it's actually the game I want to play most right now, aside from
he doesn't ever stop talking about Root. I feel like
I don't, because nobody will play with me
about it all the time.
If somebody would just play the game with me, then I would stop talking about it.
I've played a couple times. It has not been my favorite game. I have to be honest.
I love it. I love it now.
I need to play something other than the birds and try it out.
Yep. All right, fair enough. We'll try it out tonight.
Sounds good. No.
Okay. Number 3.
Wingspan.
Yes.
Yes. I love this game because it's beautiful. Aesthetics are very important to me, obviously. I love how strategic it is. It's also one that you can introduce anyone to. I love the educational aspect. Every card has a little note about the bird that you're playing. It's beautiful. Once again, my favorite holiday is Easter. You get to play with all these little pastel eggs that feel so good in your hand.
Yep.
The die roll, what is it? Like the little house.
Oh, the little bird feeder?
The bird feeder that you roll your die through.
Like, we actually use that. I use it.
It's genius. It's beautiful. And I'm also from Oklahoma. I'm a country girl. You see all these beautiful birds when we hang up our bird feeder out of our window. And so it just reminds me of that. And the bird on the front cover is Oklahoma's state bird, which is the Sturtell flycatcher. And he bought it for me for Christmas, and so it's my game, and so I just have a very soft spot for Wingspan. It's one of my favorites.
It's something about Oklahoma, guys, because I'm from the East Coast, and I'm used to seeing like a robin and like a seagull with some Taco Bell trash in its beak. And when I went to Oklahoma, they opened the shades of their window, and there were 400, like probably 400. They were incoming as I was like they were just flocking on this one bush, and it was like 400 Blue Jays and Cardinals. This mix of them is the most exotic
and
incredible birds.
I cannot think. Meadowlarks.
Meadowlarks were probably there
the
too.
Yellow.
Yeah, it was. I was just sitting there like they were just walking around like it was nothing. You know, their dad was like mowing the grass. I'm like, are you kidding me? How can anybody like? How can you move on? Like, this is all I want to do for the rest of my time.
And he did.
I did for a long time. I just stared. I took tons of pictures. They're not even afraid. They just stay there.
They just stay there.
It was really cool. So anyway, Wingspan.
Awesome.
So guys, my number 2 is a game that has not been released yet called, what do you know? Spacers, the space adventure board game. Guys, we are not being paid to promote this game, I promise you, but it is a new game that we have reviewed, we've done a playthrough for, and it will be out very shortly, guys.
Stoked about
yeah, at
this
the end
game.
of it should be out around the end of January, but the game itself is going to be released in early 2022. The link for the Kickstarter is in our description. We liked it so much, guys. I'm serious. Like, we liked it so much. If somebody sent a game to review and we didn't really like it, we would say it's, you know, we'd be honest with you, and we would probably not include it on a list like this. And by probably, I mean we wouldn't.
Right.
But this game is my number 2 of 2021. The amount of variability was incredible. The mission cards were so cool. They give you these really defined objectives. It's a lot like Star Wars Outer Rim, where you're flying around, you're doing your own thing. You have these very you can get missions where you have to go find these specific things, do these specific things, and you get rewarded heavily for it. You know what I mean? Actually not very heavily, but you get rewarded for it. It took a while. I mean, you only get like one fame.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you're trying to get fame, and during that whole thing, there's like these program bots that are trying to drive the game forward, and also one is trying to attack you. It's a constant threat. It's so cool. The game itself, the board game, can change drastically. You could have this game set up where you have an asteroid field cutting off the entire board. So you have to go through these asteroid fields all the time. You could have planets right next to each other where you have to constantly fight. Ours was spread out, so we were doing a lot of missions and encounter cards. Encounter cards have a lot of flavor text on them, and you have these different options you can choose from. The amount of player interaction in that game is ridiculous. Like, and the variability is insane.
Yep.
But they involve, like, she's involved in so much of what, like, I'll pick a card and she has to read like what my consequences or successes are. It's so cool how he did it. Anyway, Spacers is my number 2 of 2021. Be sure to check it out.
Highly recommended.
Yes.
And you said the description is in...
The link for the Kickstarter is in the description. Yes.
Cool.
So.
My number 2 is Voyages of Marco Polo. It is one of my top 5, probably of all time. I just love that game. I love, again, aesthetics. It's wonderful. I love the pieces. They're fun to play. It's a dice rolling game, so you have to choose where you go based on the
based on the value of the dice.
Based on the value of the dice.
Yes.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You know,
there's a lot of luck, but there's a lot of strategy involved. But sometimes your strategy just gets all discombobulated because someone goes where you absolutely needed to go. And
there's some asymmetry in the game as well with the characters and all that, so that's an interesting aspect of the game.
Yeah, and he always draws the broken characters and ends up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, her guy usually gets like 3 coins, and mine I can like transport to any part of the board at any time. She still wins though. So I don't know what that says about me or her, but
awesome game, love it.
Yeah, great game. Okay, number 1 of all time. I mean, sorry, whoa.
Do you want me to go first,
This
or
my
do you want
number
to
1
go?
of all time. You can go first.
What's yours? Okay, I can go first.
Okay, yeah, sure.
My number 1 is Castles of Burgundy. Probably will also be my forever number 1. It is just a game that I could play over and over and over. I fall in love with it again every time I play it. It's a gateway game, so anyone who isn't into board games, once they try this, they're hooked. They start researching. They probably hop on Board Game Geek immediately if you tell them about that site.
That's happened to a couple of my friends, that I introduced some board games.
So it's another dice rolling game, and you choose the tiles that you get to put.
I wanted to spit when you said Castles of Burgundy as number 1.
Why?
Because it's just almost cliche.
Well, sometimes you have to risk being cliche to really bare your soul.
You really do. That was actually beautiful.
Thank you.
My golly.
Anyway, back to the game. It is a dice a dice rolling game. You choose your actions based on your die. And again, someone else could steal your tiles, so it's player interaction's great.
And you're usually looking for a very specific tile. And so you're like sitting there like, and being first player in that game is incredibly important.
Yeah,
and you always go for boats. So you always, you're first player like the entire time.
It depends on what
I get sloppy seconds the whole game.
It depends on what map I draw.
No.
If it's the,
you
if
always
it's
go
the
boats.
four or five boats
What's up with you in boats? Like your boats.
I don't know.
I don't
Apparently,
understand.
I was born to sail.
Yeah, she's never done it. Yeah, she's never
That's
expressed
really
any
sad.
interest in boats, but apparently boats just stick.
And now I'm sad. I feel like I've missed out on a whole part of my life.
We can get into it, I guess.
Okay, we should try.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll be the captain, I'm assuming.
Oh my goodness.
So, get used to that.
In my boat.
Huh?
In my boat fantasy, you're the captain.
You'll be the deckhand. And I will be the...
I'll be the deck maiden.
The deck maiden.
We're married.
Yeah, this is okay.
All right, you go before it gets
too much here.
Too steamy.
Whew. Okay. Anyway, my number one for this year, and possibly, no, it's not of all time, but it's, sorry, let's do that again, because my number one for this year, for sure, is Pandemic Legacy Season 0, guys. This game apparently was very controversial, but you know, guys, we don't play games necessarily for the theme. If it has really good mechanics and really good experience, we don't care too much about the theme. Now, I do know that there are some people who are offended by some things in this game, but we didn't play for that. We played because we wanted to try a legacy game, you know what I mean? And apparently, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was like one of the most groundbreaking games ever to be introduced to the world. So we wanted to try this legacy game, and it did not disappoint. It's incredibly immersive. The game changes constantly. It is mind-blowing the things that these people did to give you a different experience playing the same game.
Yeah.
You play the same game 12 times, and it feels like a completely different experience every time. The decisions you have to make you have to make choices together. Now, depending on like results of your session, like vastly different things can happen. You get to open up different things. You take little psychological tests, like with the cards, they ask you questions. It's crazy. It's so immersive. It literally feels like you're at a really good movie.
You're in it.
And you only pay we paid like $35-$40 for the game. So it's like a movie. It's like watching your favorite movie 12 times that you only paid like $40 for. Is that a good way? Is that a good analogy? Because like once you watch the movie,
that
like
seems a little.
you probably get it now. Now that I said, you probably get the movie on DVD, and you could watch it 12 times for free.
Yeah, you can watch
in
it
the Walmart,
as many times as you want.
You probably get it out of the Walmart bin for $5, and then.
Yeah.
Guys, this game is overpriced. No, I'm just playing. This game is worth every penny, and I highly recommend it. So that is our top 10 of 2021, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this energy, we are going to keep bringing it, guys. So let us know what your top 10 is for 2021. We would love to know in the comments, or at least your number one. Give us your number 10 and your number one, guys, okay? So those are the most important. If you want to give us all, that'd be awesome too. So yeah, anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, guys. Have a great rest of your 2021, guys. And
ring the bell. Ding.
Which bell?
Notification bell.
Oh,
Ding.
yes, that will be happening probably right around here. And may God bless your 2022. Take it easy, guys. Until next time, we will be back.